in a focused way. And how I wish, that somebody had gone and done a detailed kind of work of every aspect of the tragedy and brought it down. Really, that documentation is very important to be done at different levels anywhere in the world. I don't know if this answers your question.
Good evening, sir.
Good evening.
My name is Trilok Sharma. A few months ago, I went through your one book, Raghu Rai's India, and it was a very nice book, very fascinating, very interesting book, and one of the best book of photography that I have ever found in my life. So now my question to you is that, what is the special in you, which has made you one of the leading photographers of this world? Why do you think there is something difference between you and other contemporary photographers?
Because they don't look like me. Also, as I explained earlier, that I was born and I have lived here and I work here, and my understanding of my country is different than anybody visiting us. That is one thing. Secondly, earlier I used to go looking for things. Now I have become so privileged because I have become nature's child. I connect with nature and energies of life. So I am nature's and lifestyle. And now nature's and life, moments from life, they come and nudge me. They say, hey, take my picture, and I take it. This is heavenly grace that you get when you connect with things with honesty. And this is, please let me assure each one of you, this is within the powers and the rights of anybody to do so. Only thing is, we are always in a hurry, or we look for shortcuts, or we come from this computer, that program machine that repeats itself endlessly. Otherwise, you see, I tell young photographers that if you stop taking good pictures which you've seen before, and as in Buddhism they say you have to empty yourself. If you are empty, then new things will enter your space. New experience will touch you. And that's the time you will take different kinds of photographs.
Hello sir, my name is Ashok. I'm a young documentary photographer. I've always looked up to your work. And I regard you as somebody who's taken photography to a different level and given it a very respective art form in this subcontinent. My question to you is, when was it in your journey, in your career, you felt that you touched that level? Because, I'm sure people around you were telling that you were taking really great pictures, wondrous pictures, spiritual pictures.
I think those gentlemen at the back, I think they have some problem, देखिए ऐसा है, after 50 years, I don't have a magic finger that I'll click and every picture will be good. It's not so. And what is it? Every time I have to look for it, what is it? And then nature gives it to me because I make myself available, mentally, physically and spiritually. And this is, creativity is a constant process. If you are doing different crafts you are learning, there are bases, there are levels of learning, and you start producing those crafts. But in creativity, it's a constant engagement on all levels all the time. And that's where you make a difference to your life. And then your pictures start speaking to themselves in their own way. And as I said, this is within the power, within the reach of anybody who invests himself 100% into it. But again, you have to come from empty mind and wholesome heart. Ji.
No, sir. Sir, I want to know two moments of your life, the most bad moment and the most beautiful moment that you ever had in your life.
You are a naughty boy. And let me tell you, this Nepal has beautiful women, first of all. You know, my women, you know, the variety of women that I have experienced are unbelievable. A woman like Mother Teresa, a woman like Indira Gandhi, you know, and so many other actresses that I admired in my youth, and then my wife. So, you know, and also when I see a beautiful woman, it's not that I'm 70 years and I'm not allowed to look at beautiful women. Nobody can stop me, I promise you. And man and woman. And also I sincerely believe it's very precious to have an intense relationship and experience of a woman. Without that, a man is unfulfilled. So, even today, when I look at them, my perspective has changed a bit. And that is that what energy they carry, the body language, the forms, and the styles they have their own refreshness. You know, God was very unkind to men. He never created men so handsome and beautiful like the women, most women are. Look at the market. It's full of clothes and styles for women. At the end of it, we wear this half jacket and a shirt and a trouser and we are done. And look, the variety of things there is for women. But respect and dignity is something very special. Those, I mean, even if you look at a beautiful, sexy looking woman, you have to look at it with grace and dignity. Yeah. And even she will admire that look, than a hungry look.
I am Murli Prasad Yadav, member of Press Council in Nepal. I am come from Saptari district. It is border side of Nepal and India. मैं आपको दो क्वेश्चन इंग्लिश में रख रहा हूँ और एक पड़ोसी होने के नाते एक हिंदी में रख रहा हूँ. Are you satisfied for your profession or you have any hesitation experience in photography period? क्योंकि हम लोग पेशे से पत्रकार हैं और पत्रकारिता में हर रोज टेंशन होती है, ज़्यादा हेजिटेशन होती है, क्योंकि हम जिस न्यूज़ को खोजते हैं वह न्यूज़ पूरा नहीं होने पर हम लोग टेंशन में बहुत ज़्यादा रहते हैं. वैसे ही आपको फोटोग्राफी में कोई हेजिटेशन का पीरियड आया है या नहीं, एक बार क्लियर करें. और हिंदी में
आप ये कह रहे हैं कि
टेंशन में कोई फोटोग्राफी हुआ है
टेंशन में
जी, और उसके बाद आज से 50 साल पहले जब आप शुरू किए थे फोटोग्राफी तो उस समय में अभी से कुछ हटके माहौल था. और हमारे उदित नारायण जी नेपाल के जो है वो एक गीत गाए हैं, बहुत अच्छा गीत है, पापा कहते हैं बड़ा नाम चलेगा. तो उस समय में उस हिसाब से आप फोटोग्राफी के सामने जो लगे तो आपका गार्जियन सब का क्या फीलिंग था? प्लीज.
पहले मैं गार्डियंस का फीलिंग बताता. जब मेरे बड़े भाई फोटोग्राफर हैं, वो मुझसे 11 साल बड़े हैं, So my father didn't have much say because he was living in Simla doing a job and taking pictures, and then he stopped doing the job, he became a photographer. So my father was not really happy. I did engineering, and then suddenly one day I stopped it and I started taking pictures. And first 2 years my father was very disappointed. So somebody asked him, how many sons you have? He said, I had 4 sons. 2 have gone photographers. मेरे 4 बेटे थे, 2 photographer हो गए हैं. Like they've gone mad. But later on, like I started in 66, and by 71, I was the first photographer to get Padma Shri. Then suddenly my father came and he said, well, this is something unbelievable you've done. दूसरा आपका जो पहला सवाल है कि कब देखिए ऐसा है टेंशन. There are situations when there is a tension and you have to learn to go through it to reach your goal. So tensions don't matter, but the other part of delivering a picture or a story matters a lot. Because early in my life, working for a newspaper, I was with the Statesman newspaper when it was used to be the top newspaper in the country. And working for a newspaper where I got all the freedom to do what I wanted to do, and I created it. I discovered that in a daily newspaper, photographs and daily news stories die a daily death. Today they are important, tomorrow something else is happening, nobody wants to see what happened yesterday. But the ability to go into depths and capture the essence of that daily news, then it should have the ability to stay alive for itself forever. That is a possibility.
Sir, you always suggest that we should not do other works more often because it affects our photography.
Sorry, say that.
You suggest that not to see a lot of photographs because it affects our photography in a sense because it will tell from inside that when we click a certain picture whether it is good or not. So I have a question that how we can evolve as an original photographer and also learn from the works of others. So how we can protect ourselves from the influence of others.
When it's important to see other senior great photographers' work. It's important to see and study. And study very carefully and meaningfully. But when you go to shoot, when I go to shoot, I have respect for many photographers' work and I love many photographers' work. But when I go to shoot, nobody exists for me. It's just me taking pictures in the whole world. So what I'm saying is, how do you do that? That nobody exists. That if your concentration in situations is 100%, then nobody else exists. If you're not 100% there, and you're thinking of others and other photographs and trying to take a picture means it's no good. But if you're 100% there, then nobody else, there's no space for anybody else to be there for you or any other image to be there. So you deal with the situation with full intensity. About
the public Hindi medicine. मैं कहना चाहती हूँ कि आप इतने फोटोग्राफी किए हैं, आपको मैंने क्या अफसोस रह गया कि नहीं कर सके और उसे करना चाहिए, इसके बारे में कुछ हमें बता।
देखिए वो आपने शायद ये शेर सुना हो हजारों ख्वाहिशें ऐसी कि हर ख्वाहिश पे दम निकले, बहुत निकले मेरे अरमान लेकिन फिर भी कम निकले। देखिए, जो आज इंसान सोचे कि मैंने सब कर लिया, वो तो बुद्धू होगा। दुनिया इतनी विशाल, नेचर इतनी अनबिलीवेबल एक्सप्लोरेशन के लिए तैयार खड़ी, तो मुझे ये लगता है कभी कभी कि आई विश आई वाज 5-6 of me, not one, to do everything in order to play with my children, in order to be with my woman, in order to be doing gardening, in order to be listening to music, in order to be taking pictures at 5 different places at the same time. पर हो नहीं सकता, क्या करूं? पर दुख नहीं है।
I see a lot of photojournalists sitting quietly in the audience. Any of you, Shruti ji, Sailendra ji, we have Vikas Karki, Naresh Shrestha ji, any of you would like to add a comment or a question? All photographers, promising photographers and photojournalists of Nepal.
Yes, we had a session. Yes.
So it's my turn of us. I just wanted to share with you that Incredible India, we had under the leadership of the ambassador when he was heading the PD division, we have created something else. It's called India Is, and India Is there are options. So it's not anymore just India is incredible, but there are whatever you can add, and you can add a picture the way you want. So we have moved on kind of from the Incredible India tag, and so I have spent 2 days. I've spent 2 days with him, and I've seen him taking pictures, and I mean, most of you would be thinking that every picture he takes is perfect, and that's not correct. So I mean, he takes hundreds of pictures, and there might be just one picture which is good enough to be called a Raghu Rai picture. So please, how do you, what's your kind of discard rate, or what's your kind of
very personal question and very damaging question. देखिए, Incredible India, why, and in the beginning it was okay when there were pretty pictures appearing in those ads, but after that there should be some substance to them also. So we can't go on showing all that beauty that we have in our wherever, whatever. And India is sounds better to me, much better to me. Yeah, and talking about discarding, you see, when I was in my late teens, my elder brother once quoted Ghalib, which goes like, रगों में दौड़ते फिरने के हम नहीं कायल, रगों में दौड़ते फिरने के हम नहीं कायल, जो आँख ही से न टपके वो फिर लहू क्या है? That I am not bound by the fact that the blood runs through my veins unless it drips from my eyes. तो मैं कोशिश करता हूँ, बहुत कोशिश करता हूँ, बहुत तस्वीरें खींचता हूँ, जब वो ड्रिप करता है तब मैं छोड़ देता हूँ। Isn't that good enough? देखिए, I am not here to prove anybody that whatever I take is great. I said earlier, after 50 years, I don't have any magic finger. Also, because when we click, we are also taking out our attention and creating a kind of discipline and concentration for us to eventually capture something unique. So there is no hard and fast rule for any photographer to follow this or not to follow this. It can happen in your way also. So, let's leave it open. Ji.
Last question.
Sir, you have taken few pictures, many pictures. I heard that you took pictures right after you landed in the airport also. When do we get to see the images you have taken in Nepal, Kathmandu? We really want to see Kathmandu with Raghu Rai's eye. May I request maybe Excellency maybe to organize something specific for them to see the images also. So really want to see the images that you have taken in Nepal.
I have tried my best. You see, yesterday at Patan, it was so overwhelming and so powerful that I couldn't take pictures. I sat down there for quite some time. And then I picked up the courage and I started walking again, took some pictures again, sat down. And it's not a joke, to capture the spirit, the energy of the people in their, heritage and their environments, It takes a while to capture that unique energy and experience. It may happen, it may not happen also. So, I was there almost for 4 hours. And still I wasn't satisfied. So, there might be some moments which are intense and nice, and maybe we can share it at another time.
So with this, we thank you for your very, very interesting and engaging remarks and speech and interaction. Thank you so much for being with us today. May I kindly invite the ambassador to present Mr. Rai a photo book by a former ambassador. And invite you all for refreshments, and if you have any questions to Mr. Roy, you can interact with him one-to-one.
कहाँ गया हो परितोष? संजू
नमस्कार, बीपी कोइराला भारत नेपाल प्रतिष्ठान र नेपाल भारत पुस्तकालय को संयुक्त आयोजन में पद्म श्री रघु राय को प्रस्तुति क्रिएटिविटी इन डेली लाइफ नामक कार्यक्रम में यहाँ उपस्थित संपूर्ण महानुभावों का स्वागत तथा अभिवादन है। श्री रघु राय जी फोटोग्राफी को क्षेत्र में भारत में मात्र होइन विश्व में एक सुपरिचित व्यक्ति हुन्। उहाँले सन् 1965 देखि व्यावसायिक फोटोग्राफी को शुरुआत गर्नुभएको हो र 1971 में भारत का राष्ट्रपति द्वारा पद्मश्रीबाट सम्मानित हुनुभएको छ। वहाँका 18वटा किताबहरू पनि प्रकाशित भइसकेको छ। वहाँका फोटोहरू लन्डन, पेरिस, न्युयोर्क, हैम्बर्ग, प्राग, टोक्यो, ज्युरिक, सिडनीमा प्रदर्शित भइसकेका छन्। साथै वहाँका फोटोहरू विश्वका सुप्रसिद्ध पत्रिकाहरूमा प्रकाशित भइसकेका छन्। वर्ल्ड प्रेस फोटोमा 3 पटक तथा यूनेस्को को इंटरनेशनल फोटो प्रतियोगिता में 2 पटक नियमितको रूप में निर्वाह गरी सक्नु भएको छ। आज मात्र संपन्न नेपाल फोटो कॉन्टेस्ट 2069 में निर्णायक दिन भएको छ। अंत में श्री राय ज्यूले क्रिएटिविटी इन डेली लाइफ बारे में बोल्नुभन्दा अगाडि म भारतीय राजदूत महामहिम श्री जयन्त प्रसाद ज्यूलाई आफ्नो मन्तव्यका लागि आमन्त्रण गर्न चाहन्छु।
Dear friends, I'm happy that you have come this evening at short notice for this program where we have one of not India's but the world's leading photographers. And I'm glad that among the audience are young people, but teachers from the arts faculties of institutions here and journalists. And I want to say that Raghu Rai's photography is wondrous, and also mainly because it is so people-centric. And I see a screen in front, so I'm sure the plan is to show some photographs on the screen. I don't know how much we'll be able to see with so much light coming into the room. But I wanted to tell you also a little bit about a personal facet of Raghu Rai ji. He is 10 years older to me, but we are in a sense, without knowing it initially, Guru Bhais. We were followers and our families too of the same Guru in Delhi, who is no more, but we still go to his Samadhi and his temple, and sometimes we run into each other. And Gurmeet, his wife, is very much associated with Nepal. She is a UNESCO expert, she is a conservation expert, and she comes here at least twice a year and visits Lumbini and Pashupatinath and all the places where the government of Nepal is working closely with UNESCO. So that's his Nepal connection for you. Abhay, my colleague, mentioned that there are 18 books in his name, photography books. By my count, since I follow his work maybe more closely, he has published at least 36 books, and at least an equal number might be in the pipeline, because he is a prolific photographer. He takes wondrous pictures, and one of his projects that I saw recently, there was an exhibition in the Lalit Kala Academy auditorium exhibition space in Delhi, in Mandi House, based on Bismillah Khan's photographs that I saw there, musicians of India. And I hope that some of those photographs you are going to show us today. So thank you very much and enjoy the evening.
Thank you so much, Your Excellency. It is such a privilege today to have amid us such a senior photographer, photojournalist of India, who stands taller than his images and has brought to life hundreds of day-to-day happenings through his lenses. Sometimes, it is not just the sophisticated equipment that brings an object to life. It is more of an eye that finds an unseen in the scene. And Raghu Rai is one such lensman who speaks volumes through his steels. May I now kindly invite Mr. Raghu Rai to the dance. Ladies and gentlemen, please give me a hand. May I also kindly invite the pleasure of His Excellency and the Secretary of India-Nepal Foundation of Raghu. Sujan. So I insist the Secretary of the India-Nepal Foundation of Raghu to kindly join us in the dance. Thus, we now leave you with Mr. Raghu Rai, who will be talking about creativity in daily life, the giant photographer who says either you capture the mystery of things or you reveal the mystery. Everything else is just an information.
अगर आप मेरी तरफ निशाना करेंगे तो दोनों पे जाएगा। चलो, जैन जी, Abhijit, and dear friends, thank you very much for being here. You see, they say a photographer should not talk, his photographs should speak for themselves. But since this is such a situation where I have been given this opportunity, I shall not miss it. It is true that Jayant Bhai Ji is my Guru Bhai. And you know, our Guruji, you know, it's not about Hinduism, it's about spirituality and connectivity. So the important part about our Guruji and being with him is that anybody from any religion will turn up there. And you know, it's been about 6-7 years that I started going to my Guruji. And our Guruji has the ability because though physically he's not there, but he connects with us every now and then. And if you ask how, when he was there in body form, when he'll walk in, his fragrance will come. And we used to wonder that maybe Guruji puts this fragrance and that's why we get it. Till one day, you know, somebody told me that, listen, you are new here. When Guruji connects with you, wherever you are, you will get this fragrance. So one evening, I'll tell you very quickly, one evening we were to go to Guruji, but then there was our great Kishori Amonkar was singing, and she is one of the very top musicians. So we decided to go to Kishori Amonkar's concert. And she was coming late somehow. me and my wife, we are sitting there waiting for Kishori Amankar, and suddenly I turned to my wife and asked her, I said, see, today is Guruji's day, we haven't gone there. We think about him, you think he also thinks about us? And then so much fragrance came. So next day when we went to Guruji, he says, Raghu Rai, where were you yesterday? You didn't come. So suddenly it occurred to me, I said, his fragrance was there. I said, Guruji, you were there with us? He says, हाँ, मैंने भी थोड़ी देर सुना संगीत. So this is the kind of Guruji. And then later, after going there on regular basis, every individual goes for some benefit, very honest. And later you become a follower. And I wanted to analyze what is happening in my life, what is happening to me. And I discovered that earlier my world, my canvas was maybe this one. And then while going to Guruji, I saw it expanding, becoming larger and responding to energies which were unbelievable to me. And that was the blessings I had and I have of Guruji, that my canvas has become so large that I am not satisfied with a space and some people. Even when I deal with nature, I deal with it from here to infinity, and that is his blessings. And in any case, in our part of the world, blessings is something more important than knowledge and hard work. No matter how hardworking you are, if you don't have blessings of your elders, it's not the same thing. So anyway, now, you see, in our part of the world, we say God exists in every little dust particle also. जो हिंदी में बोलते हैं कि कण कण में भगवान है. You see, I have tried to analyze and understand this. No matter what profession you are in, what we do is, as professionals, we learn to focus only on the professional part of our lives, and the rest we don't connect. And the rest is a much larger, area of happenings which we don't try to connect and understand. So what is the meaning of Kan Kan Mein Bhagwan Hai? It doesn't mean that I remove this and that God will exist, or I pick up a glass, the God is there. It means that nothing is less important. Nothing is insignificant in this world. If you learn to connect with every little element around you at any given time, you are going to be an enlightened human being. जिसको धरती के दर्शन नहीं हुए, जिसको इंसानों की समझ नहीं आई, उसको तो दर्शन ही नहीं हुए. So this is enlightenment here, and no gods are going to appear. And also let me tell you, Mahatma Buddha, Guru Nanak, Ram, Krishna, Allah, Christ, I have tried to understand and analyze them, and I came to the conclusion none of them were gods. If they were gods, they will not die. The only difference is they were human beings like us. The difference is that they were spiritually connected, pure souls who served mankind, which means they were so pure that the supreme energy, I think that is the ultimate thing, supreme energy that connects all of us. And if you become a good conductor of supreme energy, a spiritual, pure, clean person, then that spiritual energy works through you. So if you touch a man dying of cancer, he can be healed. or he can bless you with a child. Now, why I say this? Because in my life, in my experience, I depend a lot on supreme energy. And that supreme energy has something extra to give us. Philosophies are born later on. First of all, it's we the human beings who go through an experience of revelation and understanding of something new. You've been through the experience and then you discover, oh my God, this is what it was. Then you put it in words. And then it becomes a philosophy. And those kind of revelations and experiences, you can only go through them, and they can happen to you only if you have made yourself available to the energies around you for blessings, for connection, for whatever reason. Because no matter how well read you are, how well connected you are, human mind has its limitation. Because by reading great philosophies and great books by great writers and great philosophers, if you become one, then the whole world will be a different place. You don't become any of those, but if you go through any experience which is instinctive and spontaneous, then life has so much to offer you. And that's why this part is very precious, because when I was doing a book on musicians, great musicians of India, classical musicians, and I had an exhibition, and luckily then I also saw it. You see, I discovered that, in music, every rag has swaras. And every rag is defined by certain swaras. Every musician comes from a gharana, and every gharana has a style. So it means they go on singing or playing the same thing over and over again. No, they become boring. So what does one do? They begin with concentration. They say, okay, I sing rag B plus E or Malcolm's, and it has its own characteristic and its own parameters. And when you start singing through concentration, when you connect, and then when the supreme energy runs through you during that concentrated moment, then you suddenly explore another level of that rag. And when people say, wow, wow, they go praising you. So what happens? This is precisely, they become a good conductor through this rag and concentration, and then supreme energy comes in place. And like Ali Akbar Khan Sahib used to say, Kishori ji says that this classical music is not for entertainment, but for spiritual fulfillment. So all these things, they are beyond us. These are the mysteries that we need to explore, and that's where we need to connect to. Because knowledge, after a point, comes to its saturation point. And this morning when I was speaking to the photographer friends here, I was telling them, the computer technology came into being maybe 15 years or whatever years ago. God has installed the biggest computer in all of us. And this computer has the biggest memory that can be extended to anything. But in creativity, as in Buddhism also they say you have to empty yourself. You have to deprogram yourself. Most of the time, most of us, we are programmed human machines, and that programming has been happening at different levels by different people in our lives. and we pick up interesting, important, precious things, and we think this is it. But I tell you, nothing is it, because there are worlds beyond it. So this is where we get stranded as human beings. And our daily lives become routine. We have a definite pattern. We get up, we do this, we do that, we get ready, we go to the office from this time to this time, we come back, we come home, again we eat and drink and sleep. But the interaction and connection with ordinary daily life, which is all the magic. If you see, daily literature written basically is about ordinary daily lives and details from them. Even if you talk about Hemingway, Old Man and the Sea, is no big story, if you try to see. It's just the man and the sea and the boat and the waves, and he becomes each one of those elements at any given time, and he tries to relate and analyze himself, who he is, where he is. So the routineness of daily life is something so boring that honestly, when I get bored with myself, I go to the market and buy a new shirt and wear a new shirt, because I'm bored, just now, for some reason or the other. So even if I change my shirt, I feel good about it. And when I get very angry with myself, I don't know what to do, I go home, I change the upholstery. But also, if I am so, fiery and mad, somewhere the inner change is also taking place. When you're doing all these little things, I love doing gardening, I love plants and trees and shrubs. Sometimes I boast that the whole sky belongs to me. It doesn't belong to anybody else. Why? Because I am one of the few who has time to sit and look at the clouds and their movement and their forms and their textures. So they are mine. They are not yours because you haven't spent any time with them. So these are little things of life which energize you, which add new strength and vision into your daily life. And luckily, me as a photographer, with a camera in my hand, I deal with ordinary daily life. And being in journalism, when I was very active, I have photographed Indira Gandhi. I have done 3 books on her, picture books. I was very close to Mother Teresa. I have done 3 books on Mother. Why 3 books? Because when I did my first book, I was very young and I had only these many pictures of different events and situations, and my understanding was also this. As you go along, you just go, oh my God, there was so much more to it. So you explore more, you add more. So when I went to Mother Teresa for the 3rd time, I said, Mother, you allow me to take pictures again. She says, why? I said, because I want to do another book. She said, there is no need. You've done books. Other people have done books on me. Because she was not fond of photographers and journalists coming in and walking around and doing these things. So, when I tried to convince her, I said, Mother, you see, it's not that I want to do another book on Mother. I said, I feel incomplete, whatever I have done. And I said, every time I'm working on many other subjects, I feel I should go back to Mother. And it's a very special calling to me. So she listened to me very carefully. She says, all right, I will do my prayers and I will let you know. So very quickly I said, Mother, I have done my prayers. And the answer was yes. So Mother, loving and wonderful as she was, she says, all right, we will do it. It took me 10 years. I said it spontaneously. Not that I was doing prayers, but inside the feeling was there that I want to. And that's a kind of a prayer. it took me several years to understand that this lady who says two things are very precious to me. One, serving the people, ordinary people who are suffering. And why she does that? She says, I'm not a social worker. I do it because when Christ was suffering, she was not there to serve him. So all those people who are suffering are her Christ. Can you imagine what a vision she had? So all those people who are suffering are her Christ, and that's why she wants to serve them. And second thing she says, after doing all that, you need to rejuvenate yourself. So how do you do that? You connect with the Lord to rejuvenate yourself. So, I have had this kind of experiences. And then each time I had to meet Mother, I had to meet her all over again, who I was. And tell her that why I am here. Which means that her work and her prayers were so important, and she allowed and she gave me the privilege when I said I have done the prayers, and she gave me the same respect to my prayers. And this is what is called grace and greatness. So these are the kind of experience I have lived. And in photography, I try to explore those levels of human understanding. Similarly, with our great musicians, I have got great experiences. I went to Ali Akbar Khan Sahib in California to photograph him with his American family. So in the evening, he took me home. He says, "Come, I'll cook Indian meal for you." So he took me home, and then he says, "Whiskey to aap peete hain?" मैंने कहा बिल्कुल पीते हैं खान साहब. So he used to drink Shiva's Regal, that was his favorite. So उन्होंने मेरे लिए भी, he poured one for me and one for himself. And then he turns to me and he says, "What would you like to listen to?" So I said, "Khan Sahab, you've been away from India for so many years. I'm sure you played some great ragas, So why don't you play the one which you think is the best that you play? We'll begin with that." He said, "All right. So I'll play till it come out." Then he turns to me and he says, "Raag to aap samajhte honge sare." And that was the point. I didn't know what to say. I said, not all the rags and swaras, but I can distinguish, Malkauns, Bhairavi, some of these. So Khan Sahib was disappointed that here comes a man all the way from India to photograph me and he doesn't know anything about the ragas. So I felt equally bad because there was disappointment on his face. So I said, "Khan Sahib, but I am a very good Rasik." Rasik is the listener. Now, even that is quite a lot to say to a great master like Ali Akbar Khan Sahib. So there was a question in his eyes, You mean? He didn't ask me, but there was a question in his eyes. So I told him, I said, "Khan Sahib, when I started listening to classical music in late 60s, and when I got my first job, then I bought a record player and a LP, which was Rag Desh Malhar by Ali Akbar Khan Sahib. I didn't know Rag Desh Malhar, I didn't know Ali Akbar Khan Sahib. But then, because it was so wholesome and powerful experience, when I buy a piece of music, I listen to it over and over and over again. And I said, especially in the middle of the night, I listen to the great piece of music when everybody's gone to sleep and there's silence. So I said, I was listening to that music, Desh Malhar, and my heart said, "Khan Sahib, aap pura sach bol rahe hain." This is a rag played in its entirety. And then there was a smile on his face. And then the evening went on very well, and he cooked a great meal, and then he said, "Okay, come, I'll drop you." When we came out, I discovered there was construction going on the next floor. I said, "Khan sahab, ye kya extra construction jo ho rahi hai, ye kya kar rahe hain?" He says, I'm building a soundproof room where I shall play when I am in mood, all by myself for myself. Then he turns to me and he says, "Agar अच्छा राग सच्चा सच्चे सुर लग गए तो आपको भी सुनाऊंगा." You see, great musician and a photographer know nothing about the swaras. So where do we meet? The ultimate truth, the ultimate blessings. This is precisely something which connects all of us. And if we stand connected with every inch of space, with every element around us, if we care for everything, everything else around us takes care of us. And this is how life becomes, I think, simplified. Because then you don't take objections to things unnecessarily. Because you understood, you felt, and you analyzed that this is how we all are. So there are no irritations and no extra unnecessary needs that you want to inflict on others.
No, they're staff.
And let me tell you, I am not the kind who reads any books every now and then, or, I am not a literary person, but I promise you, whatever I have learned it click by click through my experience. And I have tried to analyze and understand all those energies coming and playing their part, and me being a part of it. Shall we have a bit of interactive session rather than me going on talking, because one-sided affair is not a very good idea.
I have a question. You see, you've published so much, you are known all over the world. I wanted to ask you that you could have lived anywhere in the world and you could have photographed subjects in different parts of the world. Why is it that you have chosen to photograph people in India and the subcontinent and not ventured out? Is there a reason for it?
Well, I think it's a very valid question. Some earlier in my years of photography, sometimes I used to wonder why I was stuck. Actually, I was stuck, why I was not going elsewhere. You see, it's very easy to flirt around all over the world and have fun, and you will make some interesting pictures. But the photographs, the poetry, the writing, the films, these are very personal things, and they have to be born out of your guts. And they have to be part of your inner experience. And since I was born in India and brought up there, and I am familiar with the smells and sounds and sights, and bulk of who we are, you know it instinctively over the years. The other day somebody asked me in Australia, there was a photography festival, and they said, your work is specific to India, and it's very different than any other photographer has done. Is there any Indian vision, Indian way of seeing things? I said, I don't think there can be Indian way of seeing things and American way of seeing things or Australian way of seeing things, because the language of photography or writing has to be universal. The paintings, you can't, put it in zones and say it is relevant to this area. When you are doing anything creative, you stand in a global space. But what is different is the fact that me, when I'm walking through the streets of Delhi and any foreign photographer, I know many more other details of inner lives of ordinary people which this foreigner may not know. So when I am framing and clicking, I am taking all those little nuances into account, and that becomes my vision and of my country. And that maybe that can become very special because I don't fool around elsewhere. So this is something very special to me, and also India for me is large enough world to go on. I have traveled so much all these 55 years, and yet I feel there is so much else to be explored within my own country. And वो कहते हैं जिंदगी में एक लव अफेयर भी आप पूरी इंटेंसिटी से कर लो तो आप पार उतर जाओगे। तो अभी तक तो उसी एफर्ट में हूँ, I'm still trying to get closer to it. But the world of creativity and exploration is so unbelievable that the closer you get, you feel the distance. You know, this is all it is.
I have two questions. Would you allow somebody to write on how you build? Because I was taken by the fact that you said you developed bit by bit, click by click, to be very honest. So would you allow somebody to do something on you, like how you evolved, click by click? That might be a good lesson for the young people who would like to take this photography as a profession. And the second question is, would you ever think of doing an incredible India thing through your camera?
Well, I've got very nasty things to say about incredible.
That's why I asked you, sir.
You see, first of all that is pretty and predictable is anti-creativity. And you see, I mean, look at your country, how beautiful it is. And the Himalayas, the people, the life, the greens, everything, I am fascinated. I landed here, I saw dark clouds, and I was fascinated. I said, oh my God. And what forms and expressions they were carrying. And you see, if within those forms and textures and expressions, if I don't find any new expression and make pretty pictures, there was a song by the Beatles, Her Majesty is a pretty nice thing, but she doesn't have much to say. So, this is one thing. Initially we were doing these kind of pictures. And then forms and textures and colors. And then our elders told us, don't misbehave. So this is how it is. And the other thing, that whenever I speak anywhere, I speak from my heart. And if any young photographers or writers come to me, I share with them everything to the last detail. And I have never, kept any secrets, because if I keep secrets, nature will not reveal the rest of the secrets to me. This is how I feel. So this is, I don't know, but also the person who wants to write has to have that kind of, control and, discipline too. And also it's not, just what you say and the words you use, but also the energy behind it. How truthful and how pure is the experience of that sound also matters.
I
have a question for you. You know, your first photograph was a baby donkey. So, how did you move from, you know, a baby donkey to humans?
No, you see, my father wanted me to do civil engineering, so I had to do it because we were given no choices. I worked with the government, and luckily that job that I took was only meant for a year, and they said we'll extend it later. So I came away to Delhi to stay with my elder brother Paul, as Paul is a photographer. And I thought, wow, no more going back. And then, after a few months, I used to see all various photographers coming to my brother, showing their cameras, lenses, discussing photographs, and talking about lenses. My brother, he'll have very few clothes, but his suitcase will be full of photographs, camera equipment, and all the time they were eating photographs, they were talking photographs, they were talking about cameras, and, it was all photography. I used to say, what a crazy lot there. One day, one of his friends, Yog Joy, very nice man and very learned man with positive energy. He had lots of land nearby, near Delhi. So he was going to his village to look after the land and take some pictures. I said, can I come with you? He said, yes. So while leaving, I asked my brother, give me a camera, I will take some pictures. So he loaded a film and gave it to me, an ordinary camera with a picture. So, we went there, it was late evening, I was taking pictures of children playing around, everything. And I was watching because I had no liability or responsibility to take pictures or be a photographer or not to be a photographer. And then suddenly on the other side I saw in the field a baby donkey standing looking very cute and funny. So I took that picture. And I must have taken a few more pictures, but when I came home after 3 days, my brother got the film process, saw that photograph, and he said, it's a very good picture. I said, yeah, this is just a very good picture. And at that time, it's 60s and 70s, the Times London used to print Saturday weekend picture, half-page picture, which should have some humor or which should have something unique or something very ironic or something strange. So the Times London, they printed half-page photograph of that baby donkey with my byline. So I thought that was quite a kick, Now when I look back, the difference was that he was taking pictures of children because everybody takes pictures, children playing, children posing, children jumping. I didn't want to do that because I had no desire to become a photographer. But I took that picture of the baby donkey because the feeling I had that it was so cute and so funny and the landscape, the feeling was good. This I can analyze now. I didn't analyze it then. So what you do with you see, this machine here has to be shut. When you are in an act of creativity, this computer has to be shut down. The unfortunate part here is that you cannot delete the memory from this computer. And this overtakes invariably. So I did that with the feeling. And then, I started carrying a camera on regular basis. And early in my first year, I produced some 4 or 5 very good pictures. And again, I can say that I didn't know exactly. And even today, sometimes I take pictures, not seeing through the camera, just, responding to the feeling and see what happens. Very often I get good pictures, like that.
I'm Suresh Pradhan. I represent PTI Head Restriction India. I just, I'm curious to know that, in photography, mainly you copy the nature and you duplicate the nature, but other artists like the painters, they create their own ideas. So today there is a tendency, that photography in photography also you can create a new thing by a mixture of what is called art and photography. So how do you take it? How do you do this new trend?
You see, this is what I say, incredible India and those kind of pretty pictures. Whatever is pretty. I mean, the Himalayas are beautiful, and you take photographs in the evening sun, that warm light falling on the peaks, and the other area in dark, little bit light falling elsewhere, and you say good. And you feel very happy, and your mom also feels, yes, my son has taken a good picture. Because he knows not what else has been done. It is the experiential part of being in any given situation. What experience did it create in your spirits? Something somewhere, even the breeze in a landscape can create magic and transform into another kind of experience. And that's why I said the sky belongs to me, because I very often wait. In fact, one of my books, future books and exhibition is going to be on the clouds and the way I relate to them. So at any given situation, the space you choose, the forms and textures, and within those forms and textures, the experience you choose can be very transformative. And that can be explained only through images.
There's one question at the back.
पछाडि हात उठाउनुभएको थियो
कहते हैं तुम्हारा interpretation क्या? You have to have an interpretation of what is going on.
Good evening. Meet Dil Basnet. Nice to meet you, sir. Though I enjoyed your marvelous presentation relating to philosophy, photography, your career, and above all, your association with Nepal, and what our His Excellency Ambassador and First Secretary related all about you, I'm not pretty sure whether you will enjoy my question or not. However, it goes like this.
Yes.
As a renowned photographer worldwide, how does it feel being an Indian national invited by the Indian diplomats to the Indian library and in India's one of the very closest neighboring countries like Nepal? Thank you.
That your question by itself is very nice, and it answers everything. That how do I feel? I feel very good being here and talking to you, and especially when my Honorable Ambassador is sitting next to me. It's my privilege, and being so frank with all of you, and I have the privilege to condemn incredible India and talk beyond, because what I experience here is also beyond incredible levels, So there are no levels, so each time, each experience has to be transformed by individuals in their own way of seeing things, doing things, and when I talk to you, I talk to myself also. When you guys question me, I question myself also. I am also growing with all of you. Thank you.
Namaste, sir. My name is Raghu Rai. My question is that you photographed the Bhopal disaster, and what are your emotions at that time as a photographer? How did you photograph that event? So many dead bodies, so many disasters were there. Can you explain your emotions and feelings at that time?
A doctor gets a patient and he cuts him to open up his heart for heart surgery. If he starts crying, what will happen to the world? Then we will not need doctors. So we are also kind of doctors who are there to look into every detail of tragedy. Just now we were talking about the beauty and the Himalayas or the whatever else in the world. Similarly, they say you have to have cool eye and a warm heart. If your eyes start crying, if your eyes start jumping, then you can't perform your duty. And you are, as a photographer, as a doctor, as a policeman, as a clerk or anybody, if we all learn to perform our duties with honesty and commitment, the world will become a much better place. And the sharing of the intensity of that suffering was very important, that it should be done very objectively and truthfully. In fact, an artist, sculptor friend of mine, Himmat Shah, he says, who has given you the right to cut a rock from the Himalayas and bring it down? He says, as a sculptor, nobody's given you the right to cut a rock from the Himalayas and bring it down, unless when you sculpture it, you give it an experience of Himalayas. So this is how, these expressions multiply and get shared by everybody. You see, a sad situation is a sad situation, but you don't sit down and start crying. You got a job to perform, and you do it well with sensitivity that touches the hearts of other people, maybe so that you get a good response.
I'm doing most Wester. Mr. Raghu Rai, welcome to Kathmandu. Since long back, I think I've seen you photograph in New York and yesterday, if I recall. Yeah. That was different sides of life. I've seen that. To relate with this, life has pros and cons, as you have said. The one gentleman was telling that Bhopal disaster you are taking photograph. Now I'm feeling very sorry about the Uttarakhand disaster. So what do you think about the representing those things as well as to make future like secure, whether photograph as you have seen the creativity in daily life which will have pros and cons. What do you have thinking on this? Thank you.
I haven't got the question right.
Just